This prayer is for the one who is trying, but still feels like it's not enough, for the one who looks ahead and feels afraid of tomorrow, for the one who keeps going, even tired, even empty inside. God, there are days when everything feels missing. Not just money, breath, security, ground beneath our feet. We count coins, we count days, we count effort, and still it doesn't add up. Bills arrive, needs appear, and the heart tightens before the wallet is even opened. There are people who never say this out loud. They smile on the outside, they work, they keep going, but inside they carry this constant weight. What if it's not enough? What if it runs out? What if I fail again? God, when everything is missing, we begin to doubt ourselves. We doubt our choices, our worth, our effort. In silence, we ask if we're doing something wrong, if we're not trying hard enough, if we should endure more without complaining. But the truth is, it hurts. It hurts to look at the table and calculate everything before serving. It hurts to walk through a store, adding prices in your head. It hurts to say, "Not now," to someone you love. It hurts to feel like life is always on the edge, always hanging by a thread, always demanding more than we have to give. God, when everything is missing, fear doesn't shout, it whispers. It comes at night, when the body lies down, but the mind won't rest. It comes early in the morning before the day even begins, as a tightness in the chest. It shows up in small decisions. Do I buy this or save it? Do I pay that or wait? Can I survive another month? And still we go on, even tired, even afraid. We go on because we have to, because there's no other option. But living like this wears the soul down. God, you know what it means to live on the edge. You see every hidden effort, every silent sacrifice, every tear that never fell but stayed trapped inside. This prayer is not for those who have plenty. It is for those who are counting, not for those who feel secure, but for those who are trying not to fall apart. When everything is missing, even faith feels tired. We still believe, but with fear. We still pray, but quietly, afraid of asking for too much. We still hope, but with a heart bruised by so many disappointments. God, this is where we are now, with nothing, with no guarantees, with no certainty, only with the need to keep going, and with this simple request rising from deep inside: do not leave us alone when everything is missing. God, I don't have all the answers. I don't know how to fix everything. I don't know how to make it stretch. I don't know how to secure tomorrow. Today, I'm just here, with what I have, with what is missing, with what feels heavy. I place before you the exhaustion no one sees, the fear I don't confess, the shame of not managing anymore. I bring no speeches, no promises, no explanations, only this tight heart that still chooses to speak to you. God, I lay before you the doors that never opened, the no's I heard, the attempts that failed, the days I did everything right and it still wasn't enough. I place before you this feeling of always being behind, always running, always owing. I surrender the fear of running out, the fear of not making it, the fear of disappointing those who depend on me. I don't know how to carry this alone anymore, and today I stop pretending that I do. I rest this burden in you, even without understanding, even without seeing a way out, even without knowing what comes next. I just rest. God, I am not asking for wealth. I am asking for provision for today, enough to get through this day without despair, enough to breathe without this constant knot in my chest. Give me direction when everything feels confusing. Show me the next step, not the whole road. Steady my hands when they tremble. Calm my mind when it runs too fast. Take care of the needs I cannot solve right now. Open simple paths, possible doors. Place the right people in my way. Clear ideas, wise decisions. And if it is not yet time for change, give me strength to remain without losing faith. Teach my heart not to panic when the money doesn't add up, when everything feels missing, when the numbers don't close. God, stay with me in this process. Do not abandon me in the middle of lack. Do not let me believe that my worth is measured by what I have or by what I don't. If this prayer speaks to your heart, subscribe and stay with us. You don't have to go through this alone. God, sometimes what feels most missing is not money. It's rest inside. It's the feeling of being seen. It's the certainty that this effort is not wasted. I ask you for something simple. Do not let my heart grow hard. Do not let lack turn me bitter. Do not let fear close me off inside. Do not let scarcity steal my sensitivity. When everything feels missing, hope fades slowly. Not all at once, but in small pieces. We still believe, but with less strength. We still pray, but with less expectation. We still dream, but afraid of being disappointed again. God, take care of the parts of me that are quietly fading. Reignite what has grown weak. Support what is about to fall. I also surrender to you the feeling of comparison, seeing others move forward while I remain standing still, seeing doors open for some and stay closed for me. That hurts, and sometimes it gives rise to a question we don't like to admit. Why is it always like this for me? God, do not let this question turn into resentment. Turn it into quiet trust, even without answers, even without explanations. Teach my heart to trust the process when everything feels too slow, when everything feels delayed, when everything feels like it's missing. I don't want to lose my faith in the middle of lack. I don't want to grow cold in the middle of the struggle. I don't want to walk away from you just because I'm tired. Hold my hand, even when I feel nothing, even when I don't know how to pray properly. Just stay. God, when everything feels missing, we learn to live one day at a time. Not because it's easy, but because it's all we can do. Today, I'm not asking for guarantees. I'm asking for sustenance. Today, I am not asking for control. I am asking for your presence. Teach my heart to trust today, to breathe in this moment, to not get lost trying to predict a tomorrow that has not arrived yet. When everything feels missing, every small sign of care matters. Every door that doesn't close, every person who crosses our path, every simple idea that appears. Sometimes provision doesn't come as abundance. It comes as enough. Enough to get out of bed, enough to make it through another day. Enough to not give up. God, help me notice these small signs that keep life going. Help me not to despise the little that still exists, because this little has kept me standing until now. I choose to trust, even with fear. I choose to move forward, even tired. I choose not to give up, even without seeing a way out, because I believe that you see. I believe that you sustain. I believe that nothing I am living goes unnoticed by you, and even when everything feels missing, you remain. God, I come to you exactly as I am, without strength to pretend, without energy to explain, without beautiful words. I come carrying this tiredness that never sleeps, this fear that doesn't leave, this constant feeling that everything could fall apart at any moment. You know every detail of my life. Nothing escapes you. You know how much effort fits inside a day that feels too small for everything that needs to be handled. You know how many times I held back tears so I wouldn't worry anyone. How many times I said it will work out without knowing if it truly would. How many nights I lay down doing calculations in my head and woke up with the same weight in my chest. God, when everything feels missing, we begin to doubt even our own faith, not because we stop believing in you, but because we feel too weak to hold hope up anymore. So today, I am not asking for strong faith. I am asking for possible faith, the kind that can only say, I am still here. Hold this tired heart. Protect my mind when it insists on imagining everything going wrong. Do not let fear make decisions for me. Do not let lack define who I am. Teach me to trust without falling into panic. Teach me to wait without feeling forgotten. Teach me to walk even when the ground feels unstable. God, take care of my real needs, the food on the table, the roof over my head, the dignity of my work. Take care of the responsibilities that weigh on me, the people who depend on my effort, the commitments I cannot abandon. When I don't know what to do, open a simple door. When I feel confused, bring clarity. When I feel weak, be strength for me. Do not let me fall into silent despair. Do not let me believe that I am a failure because I am going through lack. Do not let me forget that my worth is not in what I have, but in who I am before you. God, receive my hidden tears, the ones that never fell, the ones that stayed trapped inside, the ones no one saw. Turn this weight into rest. Turn this anxiety into inner silence. Turn this season of lack into learning without unnecessary pain. I trust that you are working even when I see nothing change. I trust that every sustained day is already proof of your care. I trust that I am not forgotten. I trust that this difficult moment does not define my end. I place in your hands the tomorrow that frightens me so much. I place the fears that return, the bills, the uncertainties. And I choose to rest in you, even without answers, even without guarantees, even without surplus. Stay with me, today, now, in this exact moment. Amen. God, if silence comes after this prayer, let it not be empty. Let it be rest. The kind of silence where the heart, even when tired, does not feel abandoned. When everything feels missing, what frightens us most is not the absence of things, but the feeling of being alone. So today, more than solutions, I ask for presence. Stay with me on ordinary days, on days without answers, on days when nothing changes. Stay with me when I have to face the same battles again, when I wake up tired once more, when fear tries to return, when hope feels too small to hold. Remind me that I do not walk alone. Remind me that your care does not depend on my performance. Remind me that simply existing is already enough to be loved by you. God, teach me to trust without rushing, to live without punishing myself, to accept that some seasons are meant to be crossed, not understood. Let me sleep without carrying tomorrow's weight. Let me wake up without immediate fear of lack. Teach my heart little by little to rest even in the middle of scarcity, because if you are with me, even when everything feels missing, I am still being sustained. And today, that is enough. Amen. God, there is a kind of tiredness that doesn't live in the body. It lives inside. It doesn't come from one bad day. It comes from repetition, from waking up every morning already knowing that effort will be required before there is any certainty of return, from living constantly in survival mode. When everything feels missing, life leaves no room for rest. Everything becomes calculation. Everything becomes a hard decision. Nothing feels simple anymore. Even what should be light starts to feel heavy. An invitation becomes worry. A plan becomes fear. A dream feels too far away to touch. God, you know how scarcity affects the mind. It doesn't stay only in the bills. It invades the thoughts. It makes a person doubt whether they can trust, whether they can dream, whether they are allowed to expect something better. Scarcity teaches self-defense. It teaches closing in. It teaches preparing for the worst at all times. And living this way, God, is exhausting, because the heart never rests. Even on calm days, fear is still there, like a quiet shadow, waiting for the next blow. There is a constant fear of losing the little that exists. Fear of an unexpected expense, fear of a phone call, fear of bad news, fear of getting sick, fear of not being able to work, fear of failing those who depend on us. God, this fear rarely shows up in words. It shows up in silence, in distant eyes, in restless sleep, in shallow breathing. People learn to live tense without even noticing, and they call it normal, but you know it isn't. You know the human heart was not created to live like this, always on the edge, always alert, always afraid of running out. When everything feels missing, even gratitude becomes difficult. Not because the person is ungrateful, but because the weight is too heavy. They see what they still have, yet feel guilty for not being able to feel joy. Guilty for complaining, guilty for asking, guilty for being tired. God, remove this guilt from the heart. Teach that asking for help is not failure. That feeling fear is not lack of faith. that being tired is not defeat. There are people giving everything they have for a long time now, and no one sees it, no applause, no recognition. But you see the hidden effort, you see the hard choices, you see how this person fights to keep dignity even when everything feels missing. God, when scarcity lasts too long, it starts to affect identity. The person begins to define themselves by lack. I'm the one who never makes it. I'm the one who always struggles. I'm the one who never has enough. Break this, God. Do not let lack become a name. Do not let difficulty become destiny. Even if the situation hasn't changed yet, change the place it occupies inside the heart. Do not let scarcity be louder than hope. Do not let fear be stronger than trust. Do not let a hard today erase the possibility of tomorrow. God, when everything feels missing, people don't need speeches. They need emotional sustenance. They need to feel seen. They need to know that someone is holding this story, even when it feels out of control. So once again I say, stay with me, in the simple, in the little, in the now. God, there are moments when a person no longer knows where effort ends and exhaustion begins. They keep going because stopping feels more frightening than continuing while tired. They keep working, they keep trying, they keep solving what they can. But inside, something grows fragile. Hope is no longer loud. It becomes quiet, a kind of hope that only asks not to die completely. God, there are people who no longer ask for big changes. They ask for stability. They ask for a week without scares, a month without emergencies, a single day without tightness in the chest. They ask for just this, a little peace to reorganize life. When everything feels missing, the heart doesn't ask for luxury. It asks for rest. Rest from thinking too much. Rest from explaining oneself. Rest from carrying everything alone. God, I surrender to you this mind that never shuts down, these repetitive thoughts that revolve around fear, these worries that rise before the day even begins, these images of failure that appear uninvited. Calm this, silence this. Teach my mind not to live anticipating disasters. Teach my heart to trust even without visible guarantees. God, I also surrender the hidden shame, shame of not making it, shame of needing help, shame of not being where I thought I would be. This shame hurts. It makes people isolate themselves, close in, avoid conversations. But you did not create us to carry shame, but dignity. Remove this invisible weight. Do not let me see myself through the eyes of scarcity. Help me see myself as someone going through a difficult season, not as someone defeated. God, there is a particular pain in watching life move forward for others while ours seems stuck. This creates comparison, quiet sadness, a sense of delay. But I surrender this to you. I do not want to measure my story by someone else's pace. I do not want to turn waiting into condemnation. Teach me to respect my process. Teach me to understand that some paths are longer, but they are not useless. That some seasons are harder, but they are not empty. God, when everything feels missing, the body keeps going, but the soul asks for comfort. So today, I ask for this. Hold my tired soul, not with ready answers, not with heavy explanations, but with presence, with that quiet assurance that I am not alone, even if nothing changes today, even if the problem remains. Let me feel that someone greater is sustaining this walk. God, there are days when a person wakes up feeling late for their own life, late for dreams, late for plans, late for achievements that once seemed possible. This feeling is heavy. It makes the person wonder where they went wrong, when control was lost, why the path became so narrow. God, when everything feels missing, time feels like an enemy. Each passing month feels like pressure. Each birthday, each new year, each involuntary comparison brings the feeling of falling behind. But you do not measure life by urgency. You do not define worth by speed. Teach my heart not to judge itself harshly. Teach me to recognize that surviving is also a kind of victory, even when no one applauds. God, there is quiet dignity in continuing to try when giving up would be easier. There is courage in waking up without guarantees and still choosing to go on. There is strength in holding values when scarcity pushes toward despair. See this. Acknowledge this. Do not let this person see themselves only by what is missing, but also by what has endured so far. God, when everything feels missing, the heart must learn to live with pauses. Pauses from pressure, pauses from guilt, pauses from self-criticism. Teach me to rest without feeling unproductive. Teach me to stop without feeling like I'm failing. Living constantly on the edge is not strength, it is exhaustion. God, take care of the body that carries this weight, the tight stomach, the aching shoulders, the shallow breath. Do not let fear turn into illness. Do not let anxiety steal health. Bring physical relief along with emotional relief. Teach me to notice when I need to slow down, when I need help, when I simply need to stop and breathe. God, there is a kind of silence that hurts. The silence of having no one to talk to, the silence of not being understood, the silence of pretending everything is fine. Do not let me carry this alone. Place safe people in my path, simple conversations, possible support. Do not let scarcity isolate me. Do not let fear silence me. God, when everything feels missing, it's easy to lose sensitivity toward the future. Life becomes only about solving urgencies. Everything becomes immediate. Everything becomes now, and tomorrow loses shape. But even so, breathe hope gently, not as distant promise, but as real possibility. The possibility to reorganize, to rebuild, to breathe more freely. God, I trust that you are working in places I cannot see. I trust that not everything depends on my constant effort. I trust that resting is also part of the path. Letting go of control is not abandonment. It is surrender. So once again, I surrender. The returning bills, the persistent fears, the sleepless nights. I surrender anxiety about tomorrow. I surrender pressure for results. I surrender the feeling of not being enough, and I choose to trust, not because it is easy, but because I need to rest in you. God, if silence comes after this prayer, let it not be empty. Let it be rest, the kind of silence where the heart, even when tired, does not feel abandoned. When everything feels missing, what frightens us most is not the absence of things, but the feeling of being alone. So today, more than solutions, I ask for permanence. Stay with me on ordinary days, on days without answers, on days when nothing changes. Stay with me when I must face the same battles again, when I wake up tired once more, when fear tries to return, when hope feels too small. Remind me that I do not walk alone. Remind me that your care does not depend on my performance. Remind me that simply existing is already enough to be loved by you. God, teach me to trust without rushing, to live without punishing myself, to accept that some seasons are meant to be crossed, not understood. Let me sleep without carrying tomorrow's weight. Let me wake up without immediate fear of lack. Teach my heart, little by little, to rest even in the middle of scarcity. Because if you are with me, even when everything feels missing, I am still being sustained. And today, that is enough. Amen. If this prayer brought peace to your heart, I invite you to subscribe to Prayer of Prosperity today. Leave a comment so I can pray for your life, and share this message with someone who needs hope and financial restoration. May God bless your steps, bring provision for every need, and sustain you day by day. I speak blessings over your home, your finances, and your future. See you in the next prayer. Amen.